Donald Trump actually likes people, and I think it's one of the secrets to his success as a political candidate.
Well, watching him order at McDonald's is like one of the most amazing things ever.
It's hysterical.
It's impossible to imagine Carmela, or whatever she's calling herself, Harris, like talk to the lady behind the counter about the differences in quality and weight and price between the Quarter Pounder and the Big Mac. And he has such strong feelings about it. I mean, he's really thought about it a lot.
Well, and again, this goes to his leadership style. Donald Trump actually really cares of what people think.
Yeah.
So he has absolutely thought to himself, what is the better value between the Quarter Pounder and the Big Mac? And he actually wants to know what the people who work there think about this question. And by the way, like, I have very strong views about this. Like, obviously the Quarter Pounder is a better deal. Right?
That's absurd. Without secret sauce, it's not even worth going there. But whatever. I mean, honest people disagree. Marlboro Winston, I get it.
You've allowed yourself to be manipulated by the elites. The secret sauce is not the thing that matters. It's the amount of meat. You get way more meat with a Quarter Pounder. And it's obviously, again, but look, the point is, okay, so let me give you an example of this. So the Saturday morning that President Trump was shot, I don't know if I've ever talked about this publicly, but I was down in Mar-a-Lago for the first time talking about becoming his vice presidential nominee. And it was kind of these crazy things because all these reporters would stick microphones in my face and say, you're clearly on the short list, and have you talked to President Trump about it? And I'd say, no, I haven't. In fact, I don't even know if I'm actually on the short list because I've never spoken with him. So the Saturday morning, I'm in Mar-a-Lago, we're talking about the VP thing, and he's like, I like to talk to everybody about who should be the VP. Like, I spent about 30 minutes talking to the gardener at Mar-a-Lago about who he thought should be the vice presidential nominee. And I'm sitting there, sweating bullets like, well, sir, what did the gardener at Mar-a-Lago have to say about who should be the VP? Because this is a question that actually really impacts my life. So,
do you know the gardener, or is it just random?
No, but again, like, he actually likes to know what people think about things. That's one of his secrets of success as a political leader. So anyway, he goes to, Pennsylvania. He doesn't tell me that it's me. He says that it's probably going to be you. I'm like, oh, thanks. That makes me feel great. I'm totally going to sleep great tonight, knowing that it's probably going to be me. He flies to Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Of course, is nearly assassinated. God bless you guys. And he, then he makes the decision, I think, the next day, or maybe even Monday morning. I don't know, right? I don't know when he actually finally made the decision. Probably was just Monday morning, now that I think about it. You probably know better than I do. Anyway, the point is, I actually think that if you care about the people that you represent and the people that you lead, you should want to know what they think about an issue. And whatever disagreements you might have with President Trump, he genuinely cares about what people think about an issue. And it's why I think he's better plugged into what the electorate thinks than most political candidates.
I think that's right. The switch up, the disappearance of the president of the United States. Biden is still president, technically, correct?
I don't know.
I don't either, and I really don't know. I don't know what happened to him. He was like pretty famous at one point, and then he's just gone.
I saw some clip on social media that like Jill Biden was running a cabinet meeting. Is that right? Was that real, or was that?
For sure. She's a doctor, JD. Settle down. She's got this, okay? And anyone who hasn't read her dissertation on community colleges in the state of Delaware really should see where the doctorate comes from. She literally is a part of it where she's breaking down the proportion by ethnicity of students, and she's like, it's about 40% Caucasian, about 37% African American, it's another 39% Hispanic, and then another 22% Asian. And I'm like, I'm not good at math, but...
Wait a second.
No, you should read Dr. Jill's dissertation. It's unbelievable. Anyway, she's running the government, just so you know.
I don't think that adds up to 100.
No, it does, like 147, actually. But whatever, she's a doctor. But here's my question, and I don't mean to finger the media in this. I'm sorry. I spent my life in a newsroom. It's vulgar, I know. Kamala Harris went from being, regarded as a buffoon by everybody, including, every Democrat I know. You're constantly reading about, only Montel Williams likes her or whatever. Everyone made fun of her. And then within 24 hours, she's this historic statesman. How was the media able to pull that off, honestly?
Yeah, a lot of shamelessness. One of the things that we say on the campaign trail, because it's true, is that, we do a lot of interviews. Like, me and President Trump do a ton of interviews with hostile media, with friendly media, with everybody in the middle, and Kamala Harris doesn't. Now, part of the argument that we're trying to make is, to the American people, you shouldn't trust a person who's so terrified of the media that she runs away from them. You can't trust that person in a private meeting with Xi Jinping. But part of what we've been trying to do too is actually shame the American media, which is totally it's total historical revisionism right before our eyes. My wife, even, who's a totally apolitical person, but right after they did the Kamala switcheroo, she sent me like a bunch of clips of different people and how they spoke about Kamala Harris like 3 months ago and how they speak about Kamala Harris today. And it's totally flipped. And we've been trying to shame the American media into looking themselves in the mirror and asking her some tough questions and actually reporting on her record. And you know what we've learned, Tucker? The American media has no shame. And
so like they're here. I can feel their filthy presence.
I can see some of their. I can
do
feel
they
it.
like? You run into them on the road. What do they say?
Well, they'll say in private. Almost all of them will say, "Yeah, it's really ridiculous." Or in public, they'll say, "Well, we hope that she'll give us an interview." And it's like, well, but the democratic process requires that she gives you an interview before people start voting. Like, your job, if you have any job, and by the way, to the reporters out there, I know some of you are out there, like, your job is to not repeat Kamala Harris propaganda without at least getting a chance to ask her a question about it. And that's what...
Well, but it's really simple. I've been in the media my whole life. I know how it works. If you want a politician to do something, you attack that politician until the politician does what you want.
Yeah.
And so they could make Kamala Harris give interviews to everybody from TMZ to the Washington Post editorial page just by attacking her every day, but they won't. Why?
Well, because unfortunately, most of the American media, we need to be honest about this, though, most of the American media is in fact part of the very corrupt system that they pretend to report on, right? That's the answer. So, okay. So if you're, first of all, the news media business has been totally decimated by big tech, by the way. Like, the reason why we don't really have local papers anymore is in a 20-year period, all of the advertising revenue that used to go like classified ads in local papers now goes through Google, Facebook, so forth. So if you're a journalist, there's a very good chance that your paycheck fundamentally depends on the people who are getting rich off of this system. Now, that doesn't mean, by the way, and I know a lot of them, and I actually like them personally. It's one of my many faults is I like journalists personally. But the thing that they will say is they really believe the things that they're reporting, and they really believe that what they're saying and what they're doing is the truth. And they're right about that, by the way. I don't think that most of them are liars. I think most of them are just deluded. No offense, guys. But if they weren't deluded, and if there was somebody who was actually really asking, well, why are we spending so much time attacking Donald Trump because he dared to bring up the Haitian migrant problem in Springfield, and instead, why are we spending so much time attacking him instead of, I don't know, investigating any of the numerous issues that Kamala Harris has flip-flopped on in just the last 3 years? If there was a reporter who wanted to do that, they would not last long in those media organizations. So there's a basic selection bias. If you're a person who can honestly look at American society and say, oh, wait a second, American life expectancy is declining, right? The only industrialized country in the world where that's true. We continue to be more and more reliant on some of our biggest international adversaries to make the things that we need. Oh, and we're sleepwalking into a multi-continent, in other words, a world war, with a president who clearly doesn't even know who the hell or where the hell he is. Like, maybe the honest thing would be to really aggressively interrogate how we got here. But no. What the journalists have instead decided to do is they're gonna focus on like a sex scandal from 2 days ago that involves some random journalist who I don't even know and I've never even met, right? There's like this weird sex scandal story going on right now that the media is obsessed with.
I don't think there was any actual sex in the sex scandal. That's how absurd it is.
I think that's right. But the media is more focused on that than they are on the fact that we are sleepwalking into World War III with Joe Biden as the president of the United States. And the reason why we have Joe Biden is because Kamala Harris lied about his mental fitness for office. Like, if you actually care about the truth, ask those questions and leave the salacious bullshit to the tabloids. But they can't do that. And if they did, Tucker, again, if they did, a lot of them would lose their jobs. And so it selects for people who are very trusting of the system and not for people who actually want to ask questions of that system.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.